Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to Esta Jornada Histórica, our historical journey where we take complex history and raw facts and transform them into a clear visual explainer. Today, we're looking at a true story that honestly sounds exactly like a Hollywood thriller, but it actually happened. Imagine, if you will, thousands of heavily armed Roman soldiers marching together into a thick, creeping fog. One day, they are this unstoppable force, the legendary 9th Legion, the Legio IXth Hispana. And the next, poof, they're gone, just disappeared without a single trace. Nearly 2,000 years later, historians are still looking for answers. So today, we're exploring the absolute greatest military mystery of the ancient world, the lost Roman Legion.
So, where are the thousands of soldiers? I mean, that's the absolute core of this whole mystery, right? We aren't talking about a scouting party of a dozen guys just getting lost in the woods. No, we're talking about an elite, entirely self-sustaining army of over 5,000 men literally vanishing overnight. There were no survivors crawling back to tell some gruesome tale. No logical explanation ever recorded. Just absolutely no physical trace left behind. How does an entire army just evaporate into the mist?
Section 1. The Mystery of the Lost Legion, the disappearance that shocked the ancient world. Section 2. The Invincible Power of Rome, the pinnacle of military might. Now, what's really interesting about this is just how undeniably powerful Rome was at this time.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer impossibility of the 9th Legion's disappearance, you have to realize that these guys were the apex predators of antiquity. The power of a Roman legion came from absolute, unforgiving discipline. Just picture it. Perfectly synchronized legionaries, their heavy, interlocking armor locking together like a human tank, holding these massive shields. Imagine their iconic Roman standards blowing fiercely in the wind as they march in perfect unison. And every single evening, they built these systematic, heavily fortified camps, intricately laid out and illuminated by hundreds of warm campfires. They were, essentially, a walking fortress. Losing an entire legion in combat was incredibly rare, but having one vanish without a trace, that was considered completely 100% unthinkable.
Section 3. The March into the Unknown, an ominous mission. Let's move to the timeline and see how this builds. You see, the political context of the era was totally boiling over. Rome was aggressively expanding into territories held by fierce, unyielding enemies. Imagine a Roman commander anxiously tracking these very steps on ancient maps lit only by flickering candles. Day 1, departure from a fortified camp. By week 1, the 9th Legion is deep in the hostile frontier. By week 2, they're navigating brutal terrain as massive, violent storms start approaching, totally darkening the sky. They're marching into deep, unfamiliar territory, walking away from civilization and directly into a trap set by nature itself. And then, by week 3, the final communication is sent. The last records fade into darkness. Unanswered questions remain. Think about the sheer tension back in Rome. Days turn into weeks. The supply lines find nobody. Messengers just don't return. The historical records abruptly, terrifyingly end. What really happened to those thousands of men out there in the claustrophobic darkness of those ancient, shadowy forests? Section 4. The main historical theories, trying to solve the unsolvable. So, the crucial point is, since we lack definitive proof, historians have essentially had to play detective. And two leading scenarios really emerge here. On one hand, you had the ambush theory. This suggests that local enemy tribes utilized their intimate knowledge of the harsh terrain to lead the Romans into a massive, inescapable trap in the forest. It paints this grim picture of a slaughter so swift and absolute that literally not a single soldier escaped. But on the other hand, the absorption theory asks a totally different question. What if they weren't entirely wiped out? What if the 9th Legion was decisively defeated? Sure, but the stranded, surviving soldiers were captured and eventually integrated into the very local peoples they were sent to conquer. And there are a couple of other really compelling possibilities to consider too. Could this have been a forgotten battle? This theory points to a total annihilation in a massive military clash, but one that was intentionally scrubbed from official records. I mean, the Roman Empire absolutely had the power to orchestrate a cover-up to hide a humiliating defeat. Or perhaps it was a distant migration. This is where history kind of bleeds into myth, because local legends in far-off lands whisper of foreign soldiers arriving with strange armor and unusual tactics. Did a remnant of the legion flee the frontier entirely and migrate to the very edges of the known world? Section 5. What archaeology reveals, searching for physical evidence. And this brilliantly illustrates where we stand today. To separate historical speculation from hard facts, we have to turn to modern science. Archaeologists today are essentially acting as crime scene investigators for a 2,000-year-old cold case, literally sifting through the mud, finding buried artifacts. We found certain ancient texts and scattered coins that absolutely confirm the Legion existed and tracked their early movements. But the weapons of a mass slaughter, completely missing. The monumental tombs or mass graves for thousands of legionaries, missing. We do have a few speculative artifacts, fragments of armor that might belong to them, but nothing definitive. We really have to draw a line between the hard facts we can actually hold in our hands and the ongoing speculation that keeps this whole search alive.
Section 6. An enigma that remains. The legacy of the lost. So why does the fate of the 9th Legion still captivate the world after all this time? Well, I think it's because it teaches us about the ultimate limits of power. The ancient world was incredibly vast, deeply untamed, and fully capable of swallowing an empire's pride whole. As the quote says, history remembers emperors, conquerors, and great victories, but sometimes the most fascinating stories are those that disappeared. The exact fate of the Lost Legion might truly never be known. Or perhaps, maybe the answer still lies out there somewhere, resting in an abandoned battlefield under an approaching storm, waiting silently beneath the roots of an ancient forest. Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning and never stop exploring the shadows of our past.